Hello and welcome to Refuse. As always, I'm Plume Noir, and I have a special guest with me today. I actually have my son. We're going to use his part of his gamer tag. I don't want to dox a poor child. Yes, I do have Mordecai with me. As you can hear, my bird is uh-ohing next to me, but I do have my son with me. Link, go ahead and say hi.
Howdy, everyone.
Okay, you might want to speak up a little bit here. We did our level test, and then now he's being quiet. Anyway, we just got back from the Captain Marvel movie. So what I figured we'd do is, in between my bird yelling at us, I figured we'd go ahead, spend a couple minutes just talking about how we felt about the movie, and then we'll go into spoilers. And I'll probably put down some type of bed to watch underneath this. Maybe, I think I'll throw up some Marvel Ultimate Alliance footage, since I happen to have some. So anyway, Link, what did you think of the movie?
You know, I really enjoyed the movie. I figured the acting on their main actress was really great, honestly.
Brie Larson?
Yep.
Okay. What did you think of the other actors, like Jude Law, who played, what's his character's name, Von Raab?
You know, I really enjoyed the acting. It really felt like everyone was trying to do their part in the movie.
Okay, I think you actually liked the movie a little bit more than I did. I thought it was amazingly okay. It wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't anything too exciting. I had a few problems with it, but, you know, it's kind of what I thought. I thought it was perfectly serviceable. And I think the movie is already tracking to make some money. I think I saw it already has like a 450 million gross worldwide weekend. So that's not bad. It's actually better than they were expecting, I believe. So, overall, I thought the movie was mostly okay. You know, some of the special effects I didn't really care for.
I can agree with that. Some of the effects for the cat were... Yeah.
Yeah, Goose. You know, Goose is actually from the comics. He's actually called Chewie, and he's a Flurgan, and a lot of stuff that he does in the movie is what he does in the comics. So, except for the egg laying, they didn't do that. No, let me ask you this: how familiar are you with Captain Marvel?
I think I got like a base knowledge of the classic Captain Marvel.
Okay, when you say classic Captain Marvel, do you mean Carol Danvers?
Yes, I mean Carol Danvers.
Okay, and how much do you know about the original Captain Marvel?
I know that he was an alien from the Kree. I know that he was kind of meant to protect, as like one of the protectors of the Kree, like the Accusers. Okay. But that's as far as it goes with my knowledge of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I'll be honest, you know, the biggest thing with Captain Marvel to me is the infamous graphic novel, The Death of Captain Marvel, and I told you, you know, whenever I do a video in the daylight, my bird goes nuts. And of course, he hears me talking, so I actually have my fingers in the cage right now to try and calm him down. So, anyway, yeah, I don't really have too much. I know the basics of Captain Marvel myself, but when he, you know, when I was little, the Death of Captain Marvel graphic novel came out. He died of cancer. It was really shocking for such a character to die that way. It was not really super heroic or anything. It was...
Yeah, like destroying a planet kind of thing.
Exactly. So, and then, of course, you know, he was kind of revered for a while. You know, there used to be a phrase, you know, you don't bring back Uncle Ben, you don't bring back Bucky, you don't bring back Captain Marvel. And, well, Bucky's back, and, you know, that's kind of one of those things. One other thing is, before we start going into the spoiler review, you know, you mentioned about Carol Danvers having the black and yellow lightning bolt costume.
Yeah.
Did you know that when she went from Miss Marvel, she was Warbird for a while, she was binary. Did you know that she was not the first, well, I should say, she was not the first person to take up the Captain Marvel name after Marvel?
I did not know this. This is a new fact to me.
Okay, now, you remember in the movie there was Maria Rambeau, who was Carol's best friend, and you saw her daughter, Monica.
Yes.
Now, did you know that Monica Rambeau is actually in the comics?
I did not know that. I figured she was one of the characters added for the cinematic value.
Yeah, she was actually Captain Marvel back in the 80s. In fact, she was actually the leader of the Avengers for a while. She was, I believe, the first person to take on the Captain Marvel name after Marvel died. She had light-based powers, and she was even on the Avengers back in '84 during the Secret Wars. And I bring that up because before we go into the spoiler thing, I think I can say this line. They did make a comment about Monica glowing. And, you'll see me, building, maybe I'll build a ship, I'll glow. Yeah, of course, she had light-based powers. She could turn into a hologram. And, she's back now. She's been Photon, Spectrum. So, yeah, it was interesting that they put the first, I guess you would say, replacement, the first successor to Marvel in the movie as a child, because the movie does take place in the 90s. And you know what? I think at this point, because I was actually jotting down notes. You saw me trying to jot down notes in the dark. And so I'm going to go ahead at this point. We'll go into spoiler territory. And we'll give, people time to, if they want to switch away. It is opening weekend. Most people that have seen the movie have probably already seen it. Other people are just going to, probably pass on it. And so let's go ahead. We'll go into the spoiler part of the review. Now, like I said, I thought the movie was okay. You and I have seen most of the MCU movies together.
Yeah.
Although you've seen a couple that I haven't seen.
Spider-Man Homecoming is one of them.
Yeah, I have not seen that. I have not seen all the Thor movies. And I'll be honest, I've been a little bit... What's that?
Neither have I.
Oh, that's okay. He is going to lose his mind. I mean, I'm watching his level spike on here. And I've been kind of cool on the Marvel movies. Some are okay, some are, for example, Civil War, Captain America Civil War, I thought was okay. You liked that one a lot more than I did.
I will admit that the Black Panther story was a bit obscene.
What do you mean by that?
I just feel like, I don't know, they kind of introduced it into a movie already cram-packed with characters, trying to make hit for the new movie coming out.
It was definitely Avengers 2.5. And, Doctor Strange, I really liked that movie. That was a good visual movie, even though when you take a step back, you realize this is really just Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie all over again, just with magic instead of tech. But it was still enjoyable, so, and with Captain Marvel, this movie was, like I said, it was okay. We went to the matinee. I paid $5 a ticket, and because I decided to go cheap. And we went to a 10 a.m. show, and the theater was only about half full. Mm-hmm. They had that small section like right in front of the screen, and there was 2 people down there, maybe 3.
There were 4.
4. And I know behind us, I took a look around, and there was only half of the seats. So it was probably closer to a third full. But our theater also had, I counted, 22 showings going on today. So I have a feeling we're going to have a huge drop-off. With people just trying to get the movie out of the way. So, I did notice during I wrote down a bunch of stuff, and even the trailers. I saw that trailer for The Hustle.
Yeah.
With, who was in that? Rumor Willis, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of the comic Smooth Criminals, just without the time travel, and I just wanted to throw that out there. So yeah, I thought the movie was okay. The story was, it was not bad. I did like the way they made the Skrulls sympathetic.
Yeah, I also really love that, because it gives some humanity to the space-dominating, stealth-based creatures that they are.
Skrull-manity, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Skrull-manity, I guess.
Yeah, I really... Hey, be careful not to shake that too much. Yeah, I really like that because, there's always been the Kree-Skrull war. You have the aliens battling. And, with any war, it's not just... everyone is a warrior. You do have the families, you do have the refugees, and I like the way that they made it seem like the Skrulls here were the aggressors, and Carol Danvers' memories being all messed up. you realize that they were actually the refugees. They're just trying to find a new place to live. And I will say one thing about the movie. I like that. I like the way, you know, they could have set this up for a secret invasion type storyline down the line.
You know, that's what I was thinking with Endgame coming around. I thought it was going to be somewhat of the comic space where it was going to be an invasion. You know, Captain America's going to throw off, he's a Skrull.
And they still could do that down the line. You know, these could just been the non-combatant Skrulls. But these, you know, later on down the line, we have the real warriors or whatever. And, you know, we've already seen the Kree in Guardians of the Galaxy. In fact, we saw Ronan again.
Yeah.
You know, and this is, of course, takes place in the 90s. And I'm going to try and calm his ass down here. And, you know, of course, he dies in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, he got killed in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I swear there was an end credit scene where he talked to Thanos.
You know, I may have to rewatch that. I swear he died at the end of that.
I thought he was just defeated.
So, no, I'm pretty sure he died because it was one of my problems with a lot of superhero movies going back to the first Batman in '89, where they killed the villains. And
you can't kill the villains.
you can't kill every time.
There are some exceptions to this. I feel like there are some exceptions. Like the Iron Mongrel. I feel like he had to die to make Iron Man's story go better in the first movies.
I like the idea of the Iron Mongrel instead of the Iron Monger. I like Mongrel. I like that name better.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
So yeah, you know about some of the stuff with Brie Larson, right? Before the movie, you know, some of the things that she's been saying. You know, she didn't want white men to review the movie. And,
well, that's a bit controversial, don't you think?
Well, yeah, she caught a lot of flack for that. That's one of the things that the whole Rotten Tomatoes score, when that started going down, people were actually commenting that they were not happy with the things she said because they were given a super feminist type vibe to it. You know, they had the trailer that said a hero, and it turned out, you know, it started with her and it changed into a hero. And I didn't really get too much of that from the movie. And I said that in a previous video that I really thought the marketing team they were the ones responsible for the problems with that.
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about there.
And, you know, once you got into the movie, it really wasn't so bad. Yeah, they did have the flashbacks of all the people telling her she wasn't good enough. She, you know...
Mind you, these are all guys, not a single woman.
Yeah, and, okay, quick little pause there. Now, back to what we were saying. The movie takes place in 95. Actually, we know that because... I paused it because my bird was being all upset. Now he's back to barking. So we know the movie takes place in 1995 because they said that 6 years ago in 89. So even though they never outright say when the movie takes place, you know, we can figure that out. And there was something about that. I jotted down a lot of notes. One little thing I noticed was, do you remember when Carol went the last time and she saw the Supreme Intelligence?
Yeah.
And they were playing the song Come As You Are by Nirvana.
Yeah, you mentioned this.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, remember, they're playing that song. Carol wasn't on Earth for that. Because that song came out in the early 90s. And if the accident had happened in 89, how would she know what that song was?
I don't have an answer.
It's one of the things I noticed. I remember when that came out, because Nirvana's Nevermind came out in 91, I believe. And speaking of music, I did like the music they used. It was a very 90s touch, you know. At one point, you could just barely hear R.E.M's Man on the Moon. We heard Garbage. I do like Garbage a lot. But that final battle where they played No Doubt's Just a Girl did not fit.
It really didn't feel like it fit. I know what you're talking about here. And when I went through it, after thinking about it, I think...
Keep going, just ignore him. I'm going to try and distract him.
After thinking about it, I think that song... I think the only reason they chose it really fits with the idea that she's overcoming her struggles. But I guess that's one thing about the final battle I really didn't like in the Mind Space. You know, they have this common laser that they're just shooting at the Miss Marvel, or Captain Marvel, whichever Marvel you like. I just don't like how she overcomes it. She's completely in their control. I feel like it should have been an outside force that reminded her, not just her coming up and saying, I got up.
Yeah, there was this whole thing that they kept telling you can get up, and my point was, going back to what I was saying about them using No Doubt, Just a Girl. I didn't really think it really fit because, you know, Gwen Stefani has that kind of whiny voice. I mean, you weren't alive during ska, and she, No Doubt, is like ska light. I really wish, you know, at the time of the 90s, there was a lot of female bands and rocker bands. You know, I did hear Lita Ford play at one point. You know, I think Kiss Me Deadly, I believe it was. Although that came out closer to 87, 88 maybe. But that's fine. At least it didn't come out afterwards. But there was, you know, all the other female bands they could have had at that time, the rockers, you know, the ones that would have fit for a battle. And they went with No Doubt's Just a Girl. And that really bugged me because that was not a really good, I guess you would say, final battle type song.
I feel like they could have played it somewhere in, you know, what was that? They were playing a song when she first got onto the bike and she's in the desert. I feel like that would have fit there.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that was Garbage they were playing. I think that's when they played that. That would have been actually a lot better had they switched those. Put Garbage, who they rock a lot more than No Doubt. He is just losing his freaking mind, isn't he? Well, let's talk about Stan Lee.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of the very first open when they changed the opening credits?
I really loved it because it really just showed how much Stan meant to not only the Marvel movies, but comics in general. He helped so many people with these characters, and he's basically the daddy of the Marvel universe.
Yeah. And I thought that was very nice. And then at the end of that, before the movie started, it said, "Thank you, Stan."
Yeah,
I thought that was really touching. I thought that was really tasteful. And then they did the his cameo scene, which was on the bus, and you know, you didn't get this reference. You're a little too young. He was actually reading the script to Mallrats, and you kept saying, "Why is he saying
true believer?"
True believer. You know, his catchphrase. You see the script, it says it's Mallrats, which that also came out in 95, so not sure exactly at what point in 1995 the movie takes place in. So maybe Stan recorded his scene like late in production of the movie, so it would still kind of fit. It doesn't cause any time problems. But it also makes me wonder, because Brody in Mallrats asks a lot of personal questions about comic book characters. So the comic book characters, goodness grace, listen to him. They take place in the Mallrats universe. Stan Lee writes comic books. The comic books are fictional, but are they fictional in the MCU as well? Like how Marvel Comics license out the heroes in the Marvel Comics.
The Watcher theory. I'm just saying it out. He has time over space. He already knows that he writes down the ideas, and just none of the heroes know.
So, okay, he can write adventures about the heroes before they happen, because he's outside time. I can get behind that theory.
Yeah.
They did change the thing, though, when Carol moves the script to look at his face to give the reveal. And, you know, she kind of gives a little smirk.
Yeah, like she knows.
Yeah, and, you know, they edited... I did read they edited that. They added that in after Stan Lee died. And maybe it's just me, but the look she gave actually wasn't like a wistful kind of smile. It actually looked kind of smug.
Yeah!
I didn't like that look she gave.
It looks like, ha, another one down.
Yeah, it was just I kind of got an FU vibe from this. Like, who are you? And maybe that's just me, but it would have been... Now, Carol, Brie Larson emoted a lot better in the movie than it looked like in the trailers.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that there was the whole stone face because she has amnesia through the movie. Her memories are all messed up.
Yeah.
And in the comics, there was a period where Carol had no emotional connection to her memories. So that could, it could be worse.
Translated.
Yeah, I didn't think she was as bad as she was looking in the trailers. Still, you hear some of her delivery of lines, and it was kind of bad, I felt. There were some times where she tried to sound tough and did not come out tough at all.
She just sounds smug through the whole movie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. And for someone who's not supposed to, be too confident, that, the whole movie was about her finding her strength at the end and everything. I felt that she seemed a little bit smarter than she should. And, but I didn't think she was that bad. I am about to shoot a bird. I'm about to shoot him. Do you want squab for dinner? Because I can make some squab. It's a small bird, not enough for both of us, but
I think the cat could do some... Okay. All joking aside, I get what you mean when it comes down to Carol and how she felt throughout the movie. I'm thinking more of her interpersonally. I think it was more like a facade she puts on. We gotta remember, she's a girl who doesn't remember her past. She woke up, was brought into a war, trained to control her emotions. And I feel like she just puts on this facade, one, because it's her character, she's personality, but it's also to help her to deal with, the PTSD of knowing your friends couldn't be your friends. They could be someone else entirely.
Well, so there was the whole thing about, contain your emotions, control your emotions, and it wasn't until she let go of her emotions
that she could soar.
Yeah, and something interesting about Carol Danvers, her powers where she shoots beams and everything, they kind of did it in reverse. I know, I'm about to shoot him. They kind of did her powers in reverse, because in the comics she was just kind of the flying brick at first. She couldn't shoot energy beams. I tried to distract him, but she couldn't shoot energy beams until later, after she pretty much lost her power. No, she was experimented on the Brood, and that's how she got her, hand shooting rays. In this, it was the opposite. She could do that first, and then found out she could fly, and and all that. And I thought it was interesting the way they redid her origin. I'm not too crazy that they made Marvel a woman. I didn't think there was really a reason for that. Because with her, her origin depends on another character. She's kind of a legacy. And this one, they kind of made her own person. Made her, she's the first. Marvel might have inspired it, but it was, I guess, the best they could do was working out without having Marvel as being the first Captain Marvel.
This actually kind of reminds me of the Ancient One from Doctor Strange. It's a polar opposite with the effect, though. With the Ancient One, she's amazing. The actor who played her was amazing in...
Tilda Swinton, yeah, she's awesome in everything.
Yeah. I feel like it was played out perfectly. I thought for a minute that the Ancient One was a girl in the comics. I could have believed it. But then again, I remember it's the 80s and 90s. But I think with the Marvel change, it made the character worse. I don't think it made the character as good. I don't think it improved anything.
Well, they had to do that to make Carol stand on her own. She could not be inspired by anyone else, especially a guy. And I was a little disappointed by that. It could have easily been, a male Marvel, and she would be seeing him as the as the supreme intelligence and everything. That would be her role in it. And I just felt that was an unnecessary change. But we did get drawing a blank, Annette Bening, who, she's fine. I like Annette Bening, so we got to see her. Did you notice that the costumes, when they did the switch from the green and white...
I have a slight comment on this.
Okay.
This is just for, the director behind-the-scenes kind of idea, though. But can you imagine having to make 8 identical costumes just with different color schemes?
I'm sure it was just all CGI, except for the 2. You know,
Yeah.
her blue, green, and then her red and blue one. But did you notice they went to the original, like Captain Marvel color scheme, where it was red with a little bit of blue, and it was pretty much Carol's original costume when she had the really bad 70s hair and bare midriff, and she was just like, no. And, you know, it's like, okay, I will admit, it looked better with once they do the actual Carol. Now everyone is going to cry. There goes my cat. One thing I will be honest is that I felt that the Kree version of her outfit, the green and gray, whatever, I actually thought that looked better than the Captain Marvel.
That's what I was exactly thinking.
You know, once she changed to it, and she was doing the whole thing with her wrist and changing the colors. I'm like, I kind of like that green one better. And we saw Jude Law, and I swear I'm going to kill this GD bird. When you see Jude Law and her fighting off, they got the different costumes. I realized how much better I liked the Kree outfit.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I didn't like how they made her new costume look, especially with the headpiece on.
I did not like the headpiece at all. It looked really bad, especially the glowing eyes. I think if they had not made the eyes glow, it would have looked better, but once the eyes were glowing, it was bad.
That's actually something I want to bring up. I actually liked the headpiece for the Kree colors. I thought the Kree colors really showed her origins. Because it looked like the Kree things, what Kree would wear.
And they do. In the comics, Captain Marvel originally wore that outfit, the exact helmet and everything, but just green and white with it looked like a Saturn symbol on the chest.
Uh-huh. But I really just feel as the costume did better for Carol with the way it is.
Oh, that's a bad noise. Sorry. You felt the costume looked better?
I feel like the costume, we got a little bit too much of Carol's face, in my opinion. Especially for the action scenes. Wouldn't you want, a mask that helps protect you against wind or natural environments? Well, most of the fights, she's just going with her long hair, which can easily get pulled.
Oh yeah, but I felt that it looked better, unfortunately. The CG with her face and that just never looked right to me.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Now, one thing... This, maybe you won't get this, but with Nick Fury's eye, I got a Star Trek II Wrath of Khan moment with that. And you probably aren't going to get that. When Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan first came out, people knew that Spock was going to die in that movie. So when they do the Kobayashi Maru thing at the beginning, the Kobayashi Maru, and at the time people didn't know what that was. That was a new thing to the lore. And you see Spock supposedly die. And then you find out it's just a test, and he gets back up. You're like, oh, they weren't really killing him anyway. I kind of felt the same way with his eye after he has the car crash. He's got the bandage over it, and Coulson says, how's your eye? And, I'll be fine. And it's like, oh, okay, they fooled us. But then at the end of the movie, Goose ends up being the reason why he loses the eye.
I just want to say that's actually one of my favorite reasons on why he lost the eye. Because there's a bunch of theories going around to how he lost the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of joked at in this end credits scene. But they goes on about how all these theories, when really it was just a cat. Or, as they say, a flurgan.
Oh my god, he's getting worse.
I feel like the more you stick your hand in his cage, the more he's getting upset with me.
Well, I'm just trying to get him to land on my hand to give him attention, but...
He doesn't want that.
Apparently not. He's just going to be a little dick. Anyway, we probably should be wrapping this up. We've been going for about a half hour. I'm going to edit this down a little bit. One other thing that I thought was kind of stupid. I'm just looking through my last little bit of notes. One thing, we know the Tesseract. Ronan now knows the Tesseract has been on Earth for 20-some years.
Yes.
About 20 years. I'm actually surprised he didn't come sooner. He came just in time for the Avengers to form, which, coincidentally, Captain Marvel named the Avengers. They kind of retconned that. Remember when Tony Stark and Loki in the first Avengers movie, and it looks like the Earth is about to fall, and Tony says, we may not be able to save them, but we sure as hell will avenge them.
That's one of my favorite lines.
It is a great line. You know, it makes sense because in the original comics, in Avengers #1, the Wasp names the Avengers and basically just pulls the name out of a hat. What should we call ourselves? How about the Avengers? It didn't really make sense, but in the first movie, it kind of makes sense why they called the team the Avengers. And here we find that was Carol's call sign all this time.
Can I just say something real quick about this?
Okay.
I feel like the way they're trying to put it, with movies that take place in the past, like Guardians of the Galaxy in its beginning path, and Captain Marvel in her whole movie, I guess, it feels like they're trying to retcon so everything has a meaning. And I don't think it should be like that. I feel like it should just stay the way it is. Like, exactly. If we can't save them, we're sure as hell revenging them.
Language.
My point stands, though. I feel like them trying to retcon things like that, it just makes that actual overlook of the movie worse. When you really go back in perspective. And that's kind of goes with the theories of Endgame. That they're going to have some time travel. Time travel. I just don't like how it's going to put out.
Okay, well, you know, we did have the, it said in the thing, Captain Marvel will return in Avengers Endgame. And, you know, we're in the spoiler part. We can talk about the stingers. There were the 2 stingers. The first mid-credits one was, of course, they're in that same room that we saw in the trailer for Avengers Endgame. And, you know, Rhodey comes up, the pager stopped doing the thing. And then suddenly, you know, they turn, what does it mean? You know, wait for the person to answer. And then Captain Marvel's there.
There's not even like a breach in security system. I feel like it should have been longer and it should have been a breach in the security system or something.
Well, it makes you wonder, what has Captain Marvel been doing all these years? It's been 26 years since the movie. 26, my math is bad. It's been about 20-some years since the movie, since Captain Marvel before
chronologically.
Avengers. Yeah, exactly. And so what has she been up to all this time? And how did she get to Earth so quickly? What kind of time frame is it?
Okay. Let me just say this now. So we see at the end of Infinity War, we see Nick Fury hit the pager. Mm-hmm. Now we know that Cap and Captain America, he's in Wakanda by the end of the movie.
Yeah. And
he's going back, and he eventually ends up back in New York. The pager at some point is eventually found and picked up by either, I'm just going to say Rhodey, for example.
Yeah, I wondered how they found the pager and how it ended up in the Avengers' hands, because both Nick Fury and Maria turned to dust. You know, amid all this chaos, all this wreckage, it would just be a pager, a weird-looking pager laying on the ground. Did they track, like, the plates to, oh, this is Maria Hill's car. Maybe we should give this thing we found on the ground several feet away to the Avengers.
Yeah, I felt it was pretty weird, and it just feels like a Deus Ex Machina moment. But I think that's kind of the thing about it with Captain Marvel. The way they're playing her up, she's a Deus Ex Machina.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she definitely is. She definitely is. You know, they're trying to play her up as, you know, she's going to be the one that is going to save. She's going to be the crux of Avengers Endgame.
I feel like, just hear me out. I don't want it to be Captain Marvel. I feel like Iron Man would have a better reason.
I'd be okay with that. I mean,
you know, he gets that one little cut, and Thanos calls him out. All that for a cut?
That is true.
And then he takes away what's basically his son and his family, and then leaves him stranded on Thanos' old home. I'm just saying, I think it'd be better if Iron Man got the final blow.
Well, we'll see. We got a couple months. One last thing, you know, there was the second stinger. I'm going to kill this bird. He's been quiet all day, now he's just going to be like, yeah, you're not getting fed for a week. You're not getting fed. That's all there is to it.
He's kidding.
Of course I'm kidding. What I've been trying to do is put my arm in the cage and get him to land on it and calm him down, but it's not helping. But when I do videos in the day, he hears my voice and he starts losing it. So if I'm not talking right to him, he gets all jealous. Anyway, last thing, the second stinger. We saw, what are you doing?
It's calming him down. He stops sparking when I'm doing it.
You don't realize you're doing the wrap it up signal.
Oh, I didn't realize.
I keep thinking, I'm the one. I'm the one narrating this. I'm the one. You can't tell me to wrap it up. You don't tell me to wrap it up. I tell you to wrap it up. One last thing. The last spoiler. This is totally an informal thing. Non-scripted, non-prepared. The second spoiler, where it was just Goose hocking up the Tesseract. And so yeah, now we see how he gets it out. And I'll be honest, the whole Goose thing, I was very underwhelmed throughout the whole thing, because he was supposed to be super comic relief, and the CGI looks silly. Like when he first took off into space.
Yeah, the way his arms are plastered is terrible.
And I did notice I did get a few laughs in the theater that we saw it at, but I just kind of shook my head. I'm like, it's. I know they're trying to do Flurgan, and I'm actually surprised they're not doing the trying to sell toys of the cat like they did with the what were those things in The Last Jedi?
I think they're like little penguins.
Yeah, what were they called again?
I don't have a name on them because I didn't like The Last Jedi. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. They're like these little cute, adorable eye things.
Yeah, the porgs, that's what they were called. I kind of got the feeling they wanted to sell the Goose as the porgs. And the Captain Marvel action figures, almost every single one comes with a Goose figure. And they're really trying to push this, and every time he was on screen, I shouldn't say every time, for the most part, I was just like, oh god, yeah, here he is. And he's a Flurgan. You remember he's walking around the Air Force hangar in that secret thing.
One part that upsets me real quick, I don't mean to interject.
Well, just before you go on, I just want to say, how long is he the first one that's been on Earth? How long has everyone known about them? Do they think he's a regular cat? I doubt it. Is he the first step of an invasion? What was Goose doing walking around the Air Force Base?
That was my exact thought. I want to say this. They have this scene where they're in, like, the room, like, what was it, like the information room, the records?
Yes, with all the data tapes.
Well, they're going around, and they have this weird shot where Captain Marvel and Samuel L. Jackson, or Nick Fury, whatever you want to call him, they have it so they walk off, and Goose is just standing there. I feel like they tried to set it up as Goose was like a secret scroll or something.
I was waiting for that reveal myself. I was, obviously he knows, he's like human level intelligence, probably more. Smarter than your average cat. But I was wondering if they were going to set him up as a Skrull, especially when on the ship they started asking him if he could, the one Skrull who was played by, and I'm blanking on his name, good actor, the main head Skrull. They asked him if he could turn into a filing cabinet. He's like, why would I do that? So that was kind of a funny line. But I wondered, was that kind of a setup that Goose was actually a Skrull all along? But it turned out he wasn't.
I really felt it would have been better if he was a Skrull. I think it'd be funny that all this time he was just like a rogue Skrull that didn't want to be part of the war and just wanted to stay on Earth. I thought that would have been funny.
Talos, that was his name, Talos. I had to go through and read my notes on here. And then, thanks to you, I wrote your ass. I'm like, why did I write that down?
You asked me that in the theater.
Yes, I did. And I'm like, I couldn't remember. When I saw the Crow, City of Angels, back around 95 or whatever, that movie was so bad. It was so bad that I reached into my jacket because one of the lines was, I can't believe I'm saying this to my son, F you, bird dick, I think it was. And the line was so bad, I actually pulled out my notepad from my jacket and wrote it down. And I thought that maybe it was the same thing on this, but you reminded me that it was actually the whole stick it where the sun don't shine or whatever, and the Skrull had no idea what that meant.
You were telling me it was, I don't know, it was between, like, her best friends, Captain Marvel's best friend.
Maria.
And she said something like, or the Skrull, like, downplayed her, because humans, according to the aliens, humans are, like, basically not a threat.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, she's destroying the Kree with Nick Fury. Mind you, this is an air pilot. I just thought it was a bit weird.
Well, it's like Douglas Adams, Earth is, harmless, and they finally had to update the entry in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy to mostly harmless. And so, yeah, we find out later on, it did take 20-some years for Avengers when the Sutari, however you say it, when they came back, you find out that Earth really isn't that harmless. And, with the whole Protectors Initiative, which later became the Avengers Initiative, it kind of makes me wonder if we do have in that 20-year gap more superheroes that can come out. Instead of it being, Cap being the first Avenger after he gets unfrozen, and Tony, being approached by Nick Fury. It makes me wonder, will we see any more heroes in that 20-year period besides Captain Marvel?
That actually brings up a thing I just remembered off the blue. We see Agent Coulson when, we get why Nick Fury trusts Agent Coulson. But it's really weird when they first kind of have this getaway sequence from the records. They have Agent Coulson and Nick Fury just have this stare-off with Captain Marvel in the middle. And he's just like, and then he gets asked, is anybody down there? He's like, no, they must have ran upstairs. I didn't understand why he decided to go against his order.
Well, the reason why is, remember, this was a rookie agent.
Yeah.
Coulson, they didn't quite understand that they didn't believe about the whole shape changers. And that did come up later, that when they brought it up, that sometimes you have to go against orders and follow your gut, follow your instinct. And I'm glad you brought that up because it ties into the whole emotional response of the movie. Carol keeps being told, stop being so emotional, think with your head, not with your heart or whatever. And here we had Coulson, he, instead of following orders blindly, he, followed his gut, followed his emotion, and it turned out to be the right thing. Yeah. That's actually a really subtle thing. I'm glad you caught that.
That's also something, I didn't mean to call it out like that, but I actually had this idea as we were recording, that what if Coulson was actually a Skrull from the beginning?
That could be a good setup because he has died, become Ghost Rider. I think he's died again. I don't really follow Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wait, he became Ghost Rider?
Yeah, I believe he did. I believe he became Ghost Rider in I think, was it the third season, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Ghost Rider? I watched the first episode, but he has died and come back, once or twice. So what if he is a Skrull?
It's an idea. It's an idea that I would like to say because I like Agent Coulson. I really love him. And I think it really ties into Deadpool, which we're not going to talk about. But it's kind of the reason why I like Agent Coulson. He feels like a rookie agent throughout the entire thing, but you gotta remember, he is a special agent. He has all this training. And I think that's why he's like one of the most human S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. He's polar opposite to Maria Hill.
Yeah, well...
At least in the comics.
I was going to say the comic. Well, I don't know, in the comics right now, Coulson is very anti-Avengers, so...
Wait, when did this happen?
It happened in Jason Aaron's run. We won't talk about that. In fact, we've been going for quite a while now. I'm going to have to edit this up a little bit, so I want to thank you for being on, giving some of your thoughts. I do want to do a little back and forth. Kai, I'm not thanking you because you're a little asshole, and try not to swear, but you deserved it that time. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for being on. I am going to just say one more time that I am doing a giveaway. I am giving away the Marvel Legends Mystique exclusive figure. Kai, I may give Kai away with it. You may want a bird.
Just have a bird cage on standby.
No, I'm not going to put any air holes in the box. And yeah, anyway, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment. The question is, what other alternate head do you think Mystique should have come with? It came with the Rogue, which looks awesome. It came with the Lilandra. It's about to come with a bird head. But what other head do you think? It's open to the US and Canada. Every entry, an entry on a comment on every video is another entry. I will be declaring the winner tomorrow night. This is Sunday, so Sunday the 10th, Monday the 11th, I will be declaring the winner. So feel free to comment. Any comments on what we thought of Captain Marvel? Did you see it? Go ahead and let me know. I thought it was okay. And Link, what'd you think?
I thought it was an enjoyable movie. I thought it was something you worth to go maybe see again for its subtleties.
Yeah, it would be a shame. It's a shame it's not coming to Netflix, down the line, because they're not going to be doing that. They're going to be using Disney streaming. It's definitely, I felt, a Netflix worthy. Even the big scenes, the special effects, I thought didn't really work. Although one last thing I will say, early on with the Kree and they were going down to the planet when they first came upon the Skrulls, did you get a Mass Effect vibe from that?
Yes, I did!
Oh, I was watching that going, this would be a great Mass Effect movie.
Dude, I was sitting there in my seat, I was thinking, Commander Shepard at the Citadel.
And this is my favorite Skrull refugee planet. So, anyway, let's go ahead, we'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching. I'm about to kill a bird, and I will see you next time.